Good evening, everybody. Saturday evening. Let me see now. I'd like this be better. All right. So I was watching Nick Fuentes, and he reminded me of Chuck Schumer proposing a bill in the Senate aimed at him. The bill is actually about Nick Fuentes. And it's bizarre, I thought. And didn't really pay too much attention to it until just a little while ago when I was curious to see why Chuck Schumer brought a bill about Nick Fuentes. Right? This is the Zionists, these are the Zionists that go after people like Nick Fuentes when they criticize Israel or when they stand up for themselves. They just don't like it. And I was listening to his Nick Fuentes video, and he had some interesting points. And, he is 27. So he is seeing the world differently than the way I did at that age. So it's not the same thing. The way America is right now is not the same when I grew up in it and as I got older as well. The 20s and the 30-year-olds and younger that are growing up in this country right now is very, very different. And Nick Fuentes might have a point, and I'm not going to get into it because I want to get into Chuck Schumer and what he had to say about Nick Fuentes. And I have to share it. Yeah, I have to share the screen. Here it is. Okay. So here's what I found. Okay. And news about Schumer's bill against Nick Fuentes. I mean, do you know who Nick Fuentes is? He is a well-known social media influencer, I guess you would call it. He has gained popularity lately for whatever he say, whatever people are listening to. And I kind of like listening to him because he has I think, a different perspective of this country, what is going on in it right now, according to him. And I did not grow up the way he did, so it's very different, like I said. And he might be right about what is going on in this country and his point of view about it. And I did see, I don't know if I have that video still about what he said, but maybe I will find it later or tomorrow or something. So this is what Leader Schumer floor remarks announcing. Therefore, I will soon lead a resolution here in the Senate rejecting Nick Fuentes and his white supremacist views. Okay. This is what I don't get. And Nick Fuentes did mention this. Nick Fuentes, wants to keep this country European, Christian, and not have all these immigrants come in. Okay, I understand where he's coming from. And the thing is what gets me is that why is it like someone like Randy Price, who is what's his name? Randy Fine, the congressman from Florida, who can go on the Congress floor and talk about the Palestinians and that their blood has to be spilled all over that land. And he can make comments like that, and it's okay. Like, why is that? Why is that okay for someone like him to say that against another group of people? But when someone like Nick Fuentes wants America to be what it once was, which is true, because I say the same thing, that growing up in Massachusetts is not the same like it was when I grew up right now. It's totally different. And I don't care for it at all. I don't care for it at all. And I think Nick Fuentes has a point. But why is he called a white supremacist for saying what is really going on in this country? Like, why is this an issue? I mean, Nick Fuentes did explain where he's coming from. But I want to read, I'm very curious to know why this man Schumer he felt as though he had to bring up a bill or propose a bill on Nick Fuentes. Like, what is Nick Fuentes doing? See, this again, because they have a platform, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, they have a platform where a lot of people watch their social media. Um, the Zionists go after them. He's a Zionist for sure. So I'm very curious to see what this bill is all about. This is on, I can do this one. Oh, excuse me, by the Washington Examiner. Senate Democrats push to reprimand Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson too. Senator Minority Leader, where did he go? Okay, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer unveiled a resolution to condemn podcaster Ted Carlson and Nazi sympathizer Nick Fuentes on Monday for their recent interview together. Oh, yeah. Yes. Tucker Carlson interviewed Nick Fuentes, and that caused quite a storm for some reason. The measure, supported by all 47 members of the Senate Democratic Caucus, would be a symbolic endeavor to denounce Fuentes' anti-Semitic views and Carlson for giving him a platform in October on his news show. Again, I have to say, what gives him, Chuck Schumer, the right to call Nick Fuentes a Nazi sympathizer or Randy Fine for saying those horrendous things about the Palestinians? How is it that they get away with it? Like, why? And Nick Fuentes said the same thing, and it's true. How is it that the Zionists, can just say whatever they want and get away with it? Like, what? How is that? Why is that? Is that propaganda? Yeah, that's propaganda. You better believe it. The measure, okay, I read that already. Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts is also named in the resolution for posting a video statement refusing to distance the group from Carlson after the interview created a firestorm among Republicans over anti-Semitism and whether figures such as Fuentes would receive a platform. Roberts said he disapproved of Fuentes' views. Like, what happened to our freedom of speech here? Like what happened to our freedom of speech? So Randy Fine of Florida, a congressman from Florida, can go up in Congress and say that Palestine has to be spilled with Palestinian blood all over the place. That's not anti-Semitic. That's not hate speech. What do you call that? Like, what do you call that? Chuck Schumer and these other people, like Nick Fuentes said, need to be put in their place. I totally agree with that. I do. These people are way out of control. They're way out of hand, and they shouldn't be getting away with these things. And I've always said it before. There are not enough people speaking up, and Nick Fuentes says the same thing. So, and if people are not going to stand up to what is going on in this country, and I've said this before as well, you're going to get what you get. Period. You're going to get what you're going to get. And I am going to expose it myself, and I will keep doing it. Whether I just think people should know I think people need to be aware of these elected officials that we have in DC and what they spend their time doing. Like they've got nothing else to do. Chuck Schumer has got nothing better to do than to wonder what Nick Fuentes has got to say or Tucker Carlson because they're worried about Israel. Because that's what they're worried about. These Zionists are worried about Israel. They're not worried about what is going on in this country and the people in it. They're worried about another country. And somehow or another, this has gotta like end. This nonsense of putting another foreign country ahead of your own that you're supposed to be representing has gotta end somehow. It's gotta end. These forms of hate spewed by right-wing radicals like Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson have pushed America closer to a tipping point where Jewish Americans and all those targeted by white nationalist hate are all too often looking over their shoulder, fearing for their safety. Are you kidding me right now? The Jews are afraid in this country and they're always looking over the shoulder. What kind of propaganda and rhetoric is this, Chuck Schumer? This is such a lie. Who are attacking the Jews in this country? I think it's the other way around. I think it's you that's attacking and calling people names like Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson and now the Heritage Foundation. It's you're the one that is doing this. Nobody's doing it to anybody but you, but the Zionists, so that you can cause problems, so you can incite violence. And too many are silent against this threat. On this issue, silence is dangerous. That I agree with. That I agree with. But they're not quiet about it. The Zionists, that is, they're not quiet about it. And he's not right. This is propaganda, this is rhetoric, and this is dangerous as well. In a statement to the Washington Examiner, a Heritage spokesman called it laughable that the party cheering on Hamas apologists and globalizing Intifada rioters is pretending to care about anti-Semitism. Exactly. Heritage has been fighting the scourge for years, work that's only grown under Dr. Roberts, who condemned Nick Fuentes' remarks as grotesque and urged conservatives to confront anti-Semites' poisonous ideas. The spokesman said, if Senator Schumer weren't so afraid of a far-left primary, he might confront the open terrorist sympathizers of his own party, including some of his own colleagues. Yeah, so there's always hypocrisy here. Carlson did not respond to a request for comment. Fuentes could not be reached. Democrats have also faced an internal reckoning over the past couple of years on anti-Semitism within their party due to Israel's war in Gaza. But Carlson's Fuentes interview reopened old wounds among conservatives over a figure who promotes white supremacy. I don't know what the heck they're talking about. This name calling is just, it's just, to me, it's all rhetoric. It just doesn't even make any sense. There is no threat to the Jewish people in this country. I don't see it. I see it's contrary. I think they're the ones that are causing problems for everybody else. It's not who they perceive to be white supremacists that are causing the problems. No, it's Chuck Schumer that's causing the problems, calling people names that are probably not true and trying to start an issue where it shouldn't exist. House Speaker Mike Johnson, for example, called the interview a big mistake and said Fuentes was openly racist, breaking from President Donald Trump, who said Carlson has the right to interview whomever he pleases. Yeah, exactly. And why is this openly racist? Because it goes against the Zionists. That's why. Because Mike Johnson is a Zionist. Fuentes attended a dinner in 2022 at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate, an event he participated in as the guest of Ye, the rapper formerly known as Kanye West, who also espouses anti-Semitic views. Again, Chuck Schumer can say and call anybody whatever he wants, a racist, a Nazi sympathizer, a white supremacist. and Randy Fine of Florida can go on the floor of Congress and call and say that the Palestinians' blood has to be spread all over the land. That's okay. Like, that's okay to say, right? It doesn't matter. What they say doesn't matter. What everybody else says does matter. And Mike Johnson has to condemn what Tucker Carlson had to say. Where is this free speech and why are they so concerned about Nick Fuentes? This is just bizarre. You know why? Because he's telling the truth. That's why. That's why it bothers them. It bothers them that Israel is being criticized, rightly so, and they should be criticized. And I hope it continues because people in this country need to wake up to see what is really going on with our money that we send over to DC. And that money that they use goes over to Israel to fund a genocide and commit war crimes to innocent people, to children and babies there. But that doesn't bother Chuck Schumer or Randy Fine or any of these other Zionists like Mike Johnson or even President Trump or anybody. This morning, I did my live on Facebook talking about Tucker Carlson visiting children from Palestine or the Gaza Strip or wherever they were when they were bombed. Many of them are orphaned. Israel allowed 2,000 Palestinians to go to Qatar for treatment. Can you imagine how many others don't have it? But Schumer doesn't say anything about that. Mike Johnson doesn't say anything about that. President Trump doesn't say anything about that. Tucker Carlson goes to visit these children. Nick Fuentes has a somewhat different point of view. He doesn't really talk about the war in Palestine. He talks about other things, which bothers Chuck Schumer because he's probably telling the truth. And everybody is up in arms. Israel is mad at Tucker Carlson for going and visiting children that have lost their limbs and grown men and women that are have probably permanent injuries now from the bombing that happened to them. For what? For what reason? For a Zionist reason? For what? For what exactly? Well, Schumer doesn't talk about that. Randy Fine doesn't talk about that. Nobody talks about that. But the focus is on Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson. This is what you call sick. These are what you call sick people. The country wants both parties united against anti-Semitism, Schumer said. This is not a theoretical exercise. Senators speaking out against white supremacist hatred is vital in today's day and age. No, you know what? I don't care about anti-Semitism, Chuck Schumer. I really don't, because I don't see it. You and your Zionist friends get to say and do whatever they want. You get to spit on people too, like that lady did, the Jewish woman did in Italy, like the Hasidic Jews do in Jerusalem or wherever they are when there's a procession someone's carrying a cross, they spit. That's okay. That's not hate, right? That's not supremacist. That's not Jewish supremacist, no. That's not hate either. It's just all one-sided. It's always somebody else's problem, or it's always somebody else's fault. It's them that are doing it. They're the haters. They're the Nazis. They're the white supremacists, but not the Jewish people, though, not the Zionists, not them, not Schumer, not Randy Fine, not the Jewish woman that was in Italy, not the Jewish people that are in Thailand, they're taking over, that they don't want there because they're a pain in the neck. Now they're unfortunately going to go to Portugal, and I feel bad for Portugal, like somebody else said, and I agree, because they are demanding and they are loud, and actually somebody said it very well. They're barbaric. You can't get along with them. They're right. They're the best. They know best, and on it goes. But hey, it's the others that are a problem. That's That's who's a problem. They're not a problem. So this bill, once again, like what is this bill about? I still don't even know what it's about. It's against what? White supremacy? It's against anti-Semitism? We already have a bill on anti-Semitism. Isn't it like against the law not to criticize or speak out or condemn Israel? Well, no, because we have free speech. And we can, if I can criticize the president of the United States, I can criticize Israel, I can criticize Netanyahu, and I can criticize Chuck Schumer and his stupid bill, this propaganda and rhetoric and this hate that is coming from the Zionists that are always thinking about Israel and always thinking about how they have to save themselves because of the Holocaust. It just doesn't end. Like, when does this end? When are they going to say, look, the Holocaust happened a long time ago. You're a senator, Schumer. Yeah, the Jewish people in this country, to me, seem to be doing well. I don't know what he is complaining about. Can we move on from this nonsense? Thinking that another Holocaust is going to happen if you don't stop it dead on its tracks against Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson. This is the excuse. It's always the Holocaust. And Nick Fuentes said it too. He's 27 years old. He doesn't give a crap about the Holocaust. It happened a long time ago and is not part of his world, and a lot of people's as well. It happened a long time ago. Of course, it was wrong, but look at what Israel is doing to the Palestinians right now. It's another Holocaust all over again. It's just strange. But hey, let's not talk about that though. Let's make sure that no reporters go into Gaza to see what is really happening here. And let's get mad at Tucker Carlson for visiting Palestinian children that were bombed by Israel and that have permanent injuries for the rest of their lives. One lost his whole right leg. A kid looked like 10 years old, maybe less. Gone. And it had to be amputated. But that doesn't seem to bother Chuck Schumer. No, it's Nick Fuentes who's the white supremacist and the Nazi sympathizer, not Netanyahu, though, who is committing war crimes against the Palestinians. It's not them. It's always someone else. It's called deflecting, I guess. That's what they're doing because this just doesn't make any sense. Now, let me see what this propagandist had to say. Leader Schumer floor remarks announcing he will introduce a resolution condemning anti-Semitism and white supremacy following the right's embrace of Nick Fuentes. I mean, who is he to say what is anti-Semitism and white supremacy? Like, what definition does that fall under? Especially white supremacy. What is this? Our country has nothing else to think about. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer today spoke on the Senate floor on Republicans' dangerous refusal to condemn anti-Semitic views. This is also political. Following Nick Fuentes' interview with Tucker Carlson and his growing platform, and that's the problem, he has a growing platform, and announcing his forthcoming resolution to reject this sort of hate and unite senators against bigotry. Below are Senator Schumer's remarks, which can also be viewed here. I do not agree. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I don't agree with any of this that Chuck Schumer is trying to push. I just, no, I'm sick. I am sick of all this. I'm sick of Israel. I'm sick of the Zionists. I'm sick of them always pointing the finger at somebody else when they can never look at themselves in the mirror and see what they are doing in the Middle East. No. No, no, I'm not falling for it. I'm tired of it. And Nick Fuentes and everybody else has a right to free speech. We have a First Amendment right of free speech. Chuck Schumer has no right to call anybody anything, especially what Israel is doing right now. I don't know who he thinks he is. Really don't. I really don't. But Nick Fuentes had, I was listening to his video a little while ago, and he was talking about his point of view. And I can't, I mean, again, he's growing up in a different America than I did. And I believe he thinks, Nick Fuentes thinks that we are losing this country to immigrants. That's what he thinks is happening right now, which is probably true. And if there's somebody like Nick Fuentes who wants to live in a white neighborhood, okay, or a Christian neighborhood, he's labeled a white supremacist. But as he pointed out, in Minnesota, there's a Somali community, and that's okay. So, because, again, people don't speak up, Dearborn, Michigan is the same thing. They are mayors, they are in the politics now, they're telling everybody what to do because they want to take over. And Nick Fuentes thinks that the white people are going to be the minority at some point. And I think that's the goal. That's what it seems like to me as well. They are absolutely trying to change the landscape of this country. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And so I agree with Nick Fuentes and his assessment of what is going on in this country concerning immigration. And yeah, President Trump has stopped it or slowed it down to some extent, but he hasn't gone after Dearborn, Michigan yet. And I don't know what the holdup is about that either, because they are taking over, they have, I believe, taken over Dearborn, Michigan. So, yeah, this is what's happening. He's not wrong. Nick Fuentes is not wrong. And guess what? It really rattled feathers when Nick Fuentes came up to be interviewed by Tucker Carlson and his growing platform. Didn't like it. Oh, well, Chuck, I don't know what to say. You do not rule the roost here. Okay? I mean, we need to take this country back, period. I agree. We need to take this country back. And it looks like we're just going to have to put up a fight. I don't know what kind of fight that is. I'm doing it, doing videos like this. This is my fight, I suppose. This is another way of doing it. And I was looking, speaking of which, I was looking at, is it Laura Loomer? I wanted to look at I was looking at Laura Loomer's account, and lo and behold, she, for some reason, has changed her posts are very different now. You don't see her pinned post of the Muslim Brotherhood. That's gone. That's gone. Her hate speech, her nonsense about a terror attack, all these things are gone. I couldn't see them unless they are way down here. But her pin is gone. Look at this guy's gonzo journalist. That's funny. Oh yeah. Well, of course, she had to post Marjorie Taylor Greene. Uh huh. She's still at it. She's still at it. She's got some really weird. Is Candace Owens' husband gay? Laura Loomer wonders whether Candace Owens' husband is gay based on an old article allegedly written by the podcaster under the name Candace Amber. Laura Loomer called Candace Owens a jilted lover and wondered if her husband is gay. How dumb can you get? I mean, like, seriously, how stupid. Yes, Elon Omar is married to her brother. Some people will do anything to get into this country. And then when they get into this country and then they get elected into Congress, they spit in our faces. Isn't that nice? And yet, somehow or another, they get reelected. Isn't that something? The IRS is sitting on up to 200 billion while Obama era bureaucrats block the cash. Hmm, really? I don't know what that means. This is Florida, by the way. Oh, Islam. She doesn't change that much. Florida Islamic scholar Dr. Yadi Yosef Kablawi, Trump, you human garbage. You don't know how to clean yourself after the bathroom. The foot of the dirtiest Somali is cleaner than your face. Gay retard Rubio talks like a girl. The prospect of a caliphate makes him lose sleep. Wow. Yeah, well, this is in Dearborn as well. This is in Dearborn, Michigan. And this is the very thing that Nick Fuentes was talking about. How are these people allowed to do this? Why are they being allowed to do this? I don't understand it. We're not Islamic. We're not Arabs. We're not Muslims. And we're infidels, according to them. I mean, are we going to have like a war in this country between the Zionists and the Muslims and these Arabs right here? Is this what's going to happen in this country? Because that's what it seems like to me. I mean, this is all really messed up. And you know what? I think people that have been in this country before these people came in, like the Arabs and the like, um, don't. Again, I'm going to say it again. Don't speak up. They say nothing. They let them do it. They let them do it. And I don't know if people in Massachusetts know this, but Michelle Wu wants to impose a tax on people that don't practice the Islamic religion. That's what she wants to do in Boston. She wants to tax people that are not Islamic or practicing that religion. Is this nuts or what? And what is the Trump administration doing? Too busy sending money over to Israel and the Ukraine and now worried about Venezuela. They still haven't done anything about Michelle Wu and her sanctuary status state of Boston. Nothing's been done. Nothing. Nothing. When when are the arrests going to start happening with these people? When is this going to happen? Like, what's taking so long? Like, what's taking so long? I don't understand it. Oh, here's Qatar. Here's Representative Fine, who says, Laura Loomer says that he's speaking the truth. In Islam, to be a good Muslim is to live your life exactly like Muhammad. Muhammad savagely killed and encouraged the brutal mass of all infidels. We need our lawmakers speaking about this reality. Yeah, I think you destroy them first. That's exactly what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. And this is all an excuse. Who do they think they are? I mean, I'm not even joking. Like, who do they think they are? Who do these people think they are talking like this against the Muslims, especially in the Middle East? And Laura Loomer, how are they allowed to come in here in the first place? Since President Trump seems to be so close to you, why isn't it that you don't tell President Trump, don't let them in? Arrest Michelle Wu. How come that hasn't happened? Like, it's just bizarre to me. This is the same guy, Randy Fine, who said that Palestine needs to be covered with the blood of the Palestinians in that land. That's what he said. That's what he said. In other words, yeah, let's get them all. Let's get them all. This is a congressman. This is a congressman talking like this. That is thuggery. That's a thug right there. Randy Fine is a thug for speaking like this.
Your destruction, I think you destroy them first. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. I don't know how you make peace with those who seek your destruction. I think you destroy them first. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. I don't.
And how do you do that? And what is this proposal that you destroy them first? Like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Is that another threat? What does that mean, Randy Fine? What does that mean? And she's saying thank you for speaking the truth to destroy them first? I'm telling you, this woman and these Zionists are insane, and they are going to start a war in this country if the people here do not wake up and see what is happening. Like Nick Fuentes is talking about, like Tucker Carlson, and not really Candace Owens because she's too busy with Erica Kirk. And people that are paying attention to money that is being sent over to Israel, still taxpayer money being sent over just recently on top of the $3.8 billion we give them every year. President Trump just gave them more money. Just gave them more money. Congressman Van Epps has not taken any more AIPAC money as far as I can tell right now, and I don't know if this has been updated or not. It is still at $8,500, which he had taken at some point last week when he wasn't even 1 week in office, maybe. It doesn't look like anything has been added to that, and hopefully it will not add to that, because that's enough, okay? That's enough with Israel and taking AIPAC money, and Israel is like everywhere. Israel is robbing us blind. They're robbing us blind. Then they're in Swampscott too, by the way. The Zionists are in Swampscott. AIPAC is in Swampscott. Washington, D.C. is in Swampscott. They are. They're the ones that are ruining that town. They're the ones that need to build real estate because they need to make money, and they're going to change the fabric of that town, which I have already said. Anyway, that's exactly what is happening there. And no matter what anybody says, they don't listen. I'm talking about the board of selectmen that run that town, and maybe the town manager. They say nothing. They say nothing. They let them do it. This is why our country is in trouble. That's why we're in trouble. We are. I totally believe that we are in trouble if we don't wake up and see what is really going on here. And get in touch with your representatives, whoever they are, and let them know that you know what's going on. I am watching Matt Van Epps. I just saw that he some more votes. Here it is right here. He voted no on 2 bills, Protect America's Workforce Act and providing consideration of the bill, which is Protect America's Workforce Act, to nullify the executive order relating to exclusions from federal workers. So this bill was about the federal workers and about negotiations, I guess, because they're federal workers, that they're exempt, like whatever it is that they have. Maybe they're not part of a union because they're federal workers or something like that. So the Democrat who came up with this bill wants to protect the federal workers. This is not the Workforce Act for the whole country. This is just for federal workers. This is not for everybody. It's got, very deceptive, at least to me. He said yes to the Electric Supply Chain Act and yes, I've already read that. I don't know what the Electric Supply Chain Act is. It did pass, however, and the other bills, two bills that he voted no on, did pass as well. Now it's going to go probably to the Senate, I guess, and the others passed too. So he has voted twice yes and twice no. He has not any more APAC money as far as, well, right, it's right here. It's still $8,500. Yeah, so what I wanted to, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll show it tomorrow. But that's what I wanted to basically talk about, was going to Laura Loomer's account. And she's still talking about the Muslim Brotherhood and the Islams, and they're going to do what they're going to do. We're infidels. Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. But how did we get to this point? That's the question. How was this allowed? Why are they allowed to do this? Why are they coming in here and taking over? And we don't say anything about it. So something does need to be said about a lot of these people that are here. They are not assimilating. They want to take over. Yeah, and so hopefully President Trump is going to disband the community of Somalis in Minnesota. And let's see what happens in Dearborn, Michigan. That should be next, because the Muslims are there as well. They have a mosque where every morning at 5 o'clock there's a call for prayer through their megaphone, and they do not adhere to the noise ordinance. They're just taking over. People complain and they don't care. They keep doing it. Lawlessness. This is not assimilation. This is a takeover. They want to take over this country. They do. And President Trump, like I said before, has got to focus on what is going on here and not what is going on in the Middle East and what Israel is fighting. I do not agree with genocide and committing war crimes on people that live in the Middle East that are not here, that have done nothing to us, that have done nothing at all. And why are they getting rid of their lives? Because Israel has to live in peace by getting rid of their neighbors? No. I don't know how far I don't know how long this is going to go on for with Israel, but there's got to be some breaking point here where this nonsense has got to stop. And it is nonsense. And we need to be smarter. The people in this country need to wake up. They need to be smarter and speak out against our tax dollar money going over to Israel and the Ukraine, additional money, some more for the Ukraine to fund wars. This has got to stop. And we need to learn how to mind our own business. So now I just found out, or I learned, that in Syria, 2 Americans have been, they're gone. They have been killed by ISIS or whatever over there. Now President Trump is going to retaliate. And here we go. And here we go again. Right? And here we go again. It was just a matter of time before we got sucked into another war with the Middle East. And now we have to worry about Venezuela too, because he's going to strike Venezuela, and now he's going to go after Syria. We're going to be all over the place bombing Venezuela, Syria, and I don't know who else we're going to be involved in as well. And right now, what, we're going to have World War III here. You're going to have our troops all over the place, and we're not going to be defended. We're not going to have any army here to defend us if they decide to come over. I don't know. I don't know. So it's not getting any better, especially with the foreign policy. So anyway, that's what I want to talk about. And you guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.